Hello and welcome to another Father of the Day interview as we celebrate Fathers this month of June. I'm your host, George, one of the coaches at Fathers Uplift, and with me, I have Tony Kimble. We found Tony through Instagram as he was one of our Fathers of the Day. We definitely could see the love he has for his kids. And Tony, we're excited to have you with us today and for you to share your unique fatherhood experience.
Thank you very much for, um, finding that and reaching out. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And Tony, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're joining from us today?
Okay. So I am a math consultant from the state of Mississippi. Been in education for almost 2 decades,
Wow.
and of course married with two boys. And yeah, that's me.
Nice, nice, nice. Oh, so Tony, can you tell us a little bit about your fatherhood journey and how it began?
So it. I want to say that it started way before of having my own. I think about I have a younger brother on
Mm-hmm.
that experience of in many cases for Black
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
Americans, you have
So we're
latchkey kids. Let me get it out correctly. And you had the opportunity to take care of your family while your parents were
well.
at work.
There's
You had that experience.
oh,
Once you got to that
there's a
experience,
lot of resources
um,
that we can refer you to,
I
and
had the
we
experience
can help
of
you with.
coaching
You know,
young Black males in the sport of football. So there were little moments that I had to kind of learn relationships. When I finally got my first son, that I've learned how to become a father, and you understand and you appreciate your father that much more, because it's one thing to say, yeah, daddy, thank you. But to be in those shoes, there's a different perspective that begins to spread out. And the first child, it was, avoidance. It was learning how to deal with things within myself, learning how to deal, to, I guess, mature in the reins of being a father. Uh, and to a point where I got to my second child. And with my second child, um, you kind of realize some things you've done wrong or some things you did not do. And you were able to um, take a different outlook on it, or take different approaches to it,
Yes,
and
definitely.
try to go back and reconcile some of those things that you overlooked, some things you had no clue about. And you try to go back and rectify those. So, and it's
Yes,
today
yes.
where I have they're older, they're,
Mhm.
in those different stages of their life.
Oh, okay. So how many kids do you have, and what are their ages?
So I have a 10-year-old and I have a 5-year-old.
Wow.
So I have two, and yeah, I have two of those.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your kids? What are their personalities like?
They're both different.
Yeah.
My oldest he's a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's a thinker. Um, he's just, he's in that stage where, you get into that preteen stage. I like to call this the preteen stage, where you're trying to find out your identity. Um, when I think about my youngest, he's inquisitive. He is the unofficial, in his own right or in his own mind, boss. What he
Yes.
tries to be, but he's a uh, scientific guy. Loves science, and
thank you.
yeah.
Oh,
Look
okay.
here,
And
what
what
look here,
what
there.
type of what type of activities do you like to do with your kids?
Yeah, so for my youngest, he is like I told you, he's a scientific guy. He likes to build
Yeah.
things.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to look at nature. He likes to go out and explore different things. My oldest is, of course, he's a thinker. He's a problem solver. So, for instance, although he games, he takes the initiative to try to solve problems himself. Of course, you know, he and I always have this conversation of, I remember back before YouTube, used to search for all kind of things on how to fix different parts of the computer. Well, for him now, he can simply go to YouTube now and find a lot of those things.
Oh, okay, that's really great. That's really great. And it's funny how they're siblings, but they're so different. And I like how you mentioned the fact that like kind of like the first child is kind of like the trial run, and the
Yeah.
second child is like, oh, I did this wrong with this child. Well, I didn't do it wrong, but I forgot to do this at this time. Let me do it with the second one. And it's just because I'm in that same phase right now, you know, first with my first son, and then my second son. They're like, oh, you should try this earlier, and they're like, oh man, we wish we would have done it with, but it's okay, it's not too late.
Yeah.
So I like how you said that, because I feel like a lot of dads are going through that, or currently, or have gone through that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the most challenging part of child fatherhood?
I think the most challenging part is the father healing himself, because, you know, those are barriers. If you don't heal within yourself, you continue patterns, and healing looks different based on the person. So it's not so much about, I don't think it's the stages of the child's life. It's the stages that things you might remember that you've been able to hide, to dismiss over the years, but to have a genuine relationship with your child, you're going to revisit some of those times where, you know, maybe that age range, where 1 to 5, maybe you had a bad experience. And, you know, it might have been easy before to just kind of dismiss it and go live with life. But your children, which are your offsprings, tend to mimic you or have a part of you that's living. So you have to go and so that's a challenging part. And I think in my case of going through and addressing those things I need to heal from, to be able to give them life.
Nice. As dads, we don't always have enough help or services made just for us. So, like, what message would you send to society about that?
Yeah, so I've wrestled with this part because when I think about what fathers did 50 years ago, 70 years ago, even 20 years ago, I will even say that. Well, no, I say 50 to the 70, and I'll scratch 20, is different because of what our society looks like now. The whole idea of just being the provider is not sufficient anymore.
Yes.
Children need emotional support. So it is being able to talk to them and not just discipline them.
Okay.
Because you can discipline them and nothing ever changes, and it
Right.
becomes that they're submissive, but they're never able to step over what they may experience in society. So you got to be able to sit down and talk to them and walk them through things that you might not have walked through yourself. So that goes back to that piece I said earlier about healing and being able to address that deficit or that hurt that you've dealt with before. So being able to, what does it look like to be a man in 2022 dealing with emotional states, which also, you know, I don't deal too much into the mental state as well. So yeah.
Okay, yes, definitely. And I feel like, you know, parenting throughout the centuries has evolved and it's different. You know, like you said, things that was done back in the day might not be able to be done today because it doesn't reflect the same era and how things are done. And I definitely agree with that. And what advice would you give new fathers about fatherhood?
Enjoy the moment. Really take the time to absorb the moments because they go so quickly. I've heard many people say it, and they will ask me, well, how old are your children? And they next will proceed with, remember that time, enjoy it now because it's going to be gone. So I would say take the moments and make the moments count because they're going to be gone. I think about so that you don't fall into a category of regret. So you're not going to be perfect, but take the time to be present. Take the time to actually listen, and take the time to find interest in them. And you'll begin to find out things about yourself that you didn't necessarily realize about yourself. And maybe that comes from the father, or that comes from the mother. So there's this whole connection that begins to happen. And if you make a mistake, don't make a statue there. Don't make a monument there. What you do is see you made the mistake, surround yourself with more seasoned dads so that you don't, and don't isolate yourself, because sometimes you can isolate yourself and you're the only voice that you hear, or you're the only consciousness that you're available to. And what happens is you become judgmental and you're the only judgment that's there. And once you talk to more seasoned fathers, you find out, look, man, that's just normal. And it's not that bad because it gets better.
Right.
So I think it's having that soundboard. And I think that's where dads come into play, but also just having mentors around to help you through that new dad stage. And it's
yes,
yeah,
that's really great advice. Definitely, and surrounding yourself with a community. Yes, that's I think a lot of people are going to gravitate toward that. That's really great advice. And I have some rapid fire questions for you. So I'm just going to say a word, and the first thing that comes to mind, just shoot at. So kids,
love and fun.
partner,
Same direction.
fatherhood.
A journey and not a destination.
Ooh, I like that. Love,
Endless.
granddad,
Legacy. Stability.
sleep.
Not much.
I hear that a lot. Gift,
Exercise it.
greatness,
It costs.
self-care.
Make sure you do.
Awesome. Mr. Kimble, I thank you so much for taking time out of your day to have Fathers Uplift and I interview you today. And we see you do a lot of work, and we appreciate you as a dad, and we send so much love your way down in Mississippi. And we really thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. Very encouraging.
Okay.